Mrs. Wilson was confused all at once. Ragnar arranged for Jenna and the others? What does Ragnar mean? Did he say that these 3 helpers arranged for her? Just before the old lady came back to her senses, Jenna heard the brawny man's words and blurted out excitedly, "Big brother, what you said is true. Can we really live here?" The man nodded, "Of course. Hasn't the driver entered your fingerprints before? You will treat this as your home from now on, Mrs. Wilson shouted desperately, "Brother. Excuse me, tell Mr. Ragnar that we don't want such a helper. These 3 people are all peasant women and don't know a few big characters. What can they do for us? We can't change to 3 professional nurses, preferably the one who can wash clothes and cook." The man yelled coldly, "Old lady, I found that although you are old and ugly, but you think well and beautifully. Still bargaining with us? Don't look at what you count." Mrs. Wilson was blushing when she was scolded, and she stammered and said, "Then we don't need help, can't we? Let the 3 of them go. Let's do everything by ourselves." "This is all right. That's not okay. As I said just now, these 3 people are the same as your family. They will all be residents of this house from now on. They will sit on the same level as you. You have no right to let them go." Jenna just heard this, looked at Mrs. Wilson, sneered and said, "Oh, Mrs. Wilson, I think you are really a phoenix. Not long after you came out, you can turn over so quickly. I didn't expect this big villa is not yours at all." "Yeah, what are you pretending here with me? I really thought this was your villa. I didn't expect you to be the same as the 3 of us, just renting it out, yes?" Tabia said contemptuously. "The clamor was so powerful just now, it seems to be really awesome. I didn't expect it was all pretended." Lexi also echoed, "I still think you are really a phoenix. You live in such a good phoenix den. Only now I know that you are a pheasant who borrowed and lived in the phoenix den." Mrs. Wilson's expression was very ugly. This villa is indeed not hers. It belongs to Ragnar. Ragnar allowed them to live in the family so they could live. If Ragnar doesn't let them live anymore, they will have to get out. In other words, if Ragnar wants Jenna and the 3 of them to live in, then she has no right to obstruct. Jenna exhaled suddenly. She excitedly said to the 2 of them, "From now on, we are also residents of this big villa. Some old pheasants pretending to be phoenixes no longer have the right to drive us out, yes?" The other 2 were also very excited. After clarifying the relationship of interest, they were in a good mood. After all, this not only extinguished the arrogance of the old lady, but also allowed the 3 of them to live in this large villa reasonably and legally. At this moment, Jenna suddenly remembered something and asked the brawny-headed man, "Brother, I want to ask you something." The man said, "You say?" Jenna said, "We looked at the rooms in this villa before and found that those big and good rooms were occupied by the Wilson family. All we could find were corner rooms. Since the 3 of us were with them, family rights are equal, so can we ask for reallocation of rooms?" "Yes." Lexi also recovered, and said excitedly, "I want to live in a big bedroom facing south too." The man naturally didn't think it was too big to watch the excitement, and said with a smile, "Of course, we don't care how you distribute it internally." "That's great." Jenna said immediately, "I booked the big bedroom on the 3rd floor. Who owns the bedroom? Move out quickly, otherwise, don't blame me for throwing everything out." Mrs. Wilson said angrily, "Dare you? The big bedroom on the 3rd floor is my room. No one can grab it." Jenna sneered and said, "You bad old lady, hurry up and get away. I just gave you a face. The 3 of us have come to you sincerely and really want to treat you as a mother. But unexpectedly, your old thing is so unfeeling. Now that Mr. Ragnar has spoken, then let's speak with strength. I want the room on the 3rd floor. If you dare to grab it, you can weigh yourself whether you have that ability." Mrs. Wilson was suddenly desperate. Not only despair, but also deep regret. She only understood now that these 3 people turned out to be the helpers Ragnar arranged for her. If she knew this was the case, she shouldn't have yelled at them just now and had to drive them out. Originally, although the 3 of them couldn't make it to the stage, they had enough respect for her, and she also had the strength to direct them to do anything. But it's better now. She actually offended the three of them to death. And these three people were not driven out in the end. Jenna wants to grab her room. Isn't this shooting yourself in the foot? Thinking of this, Mrs. Wilson felt so uncomfortable, she could only lick her face and said to Jenna, "Oh, Jenna. It was a misunderstanding just now, don't you be familiar with me. I am old, confused, and can't live for a few years. Sometimes my brain is not enough. Said something that doesn't sound very nice, don't take it to your heart. I always treat you like a daughter," Jenna said with a disgusted face. "Now it's close to me? I'll go to your mother." "What the hell are you doing? I see through your old stuff this time. The show sings, something is wrong with you, no matter what, it's a dog thing like you. Everyone will live under the same roof in the future. You'd better not provoke me, otherwise, I will let you die in minutes." When Mrs. Wilson heard this, she shuddered in shock, and blurted out, Are you not afraid to go in again?" At this time, the brawny man immediately added, "Don't worry, Mr. Regnar still has a lot of face, and this little thing is definitely done." When Jenna heard this, she immediately felt as if she had been given a cardiotonic injection, and sneered. "Then I'm sorry, Mrs. Wilson, from now on, the big room on the third floor belongs to me." Mrs. Wilson almost collapsed. The large bedroom on the third floor was the best bedroom in the entire villa. When she first moved in, she fell in love with that room, and it was extremely comfortable to live in, absolutely unmatched by other rooms. Moreover, the old lady is eager to enjoy her life. She intends to live in such a good bedroom. Now seeing that Jenna will snatch it away, she is naturally anxious. She cried and said, "Jenna, you see how old I am. Yes, maybe I will die one day, so you can let me die in that better room, and I can have a good fate in my next life." Jenna stepped forward and slapped Mrs. Wilson, and shouted coldly, "You're so *C king farting here. Mom drank pesticides, and the hospital said it was useless, so he took her back home. She died in the end. In the dilapidated brick house in my hometown, according to what you said. Won't Mom have a good fate in her next life?"